Buddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Now we are going to start with the karmasthana. May I and all beings in all worlds be free from the fire of birth, freed from the fire of decay, freed from the fire of illness, freed from the fire of death, freed from the fire of sorrow, freed from the fire of lamentation, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all things in all worlds be freed from the fire of suffering, freed from the fire of discontentment, freed from the fire of exhaustion, freed from the fire of not getting what one likes, freed from the fire of clinging onto the five aggregates, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the suffering of samsara, freed from the disease of samsara, freed from the fear of samsara, freed from the fear of samsara, freed from the of samsara, free from the sorrow of samsara, free from the lust of samsara, free from the clutches of samsara, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana, filled with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. The sensual worlds are in despair. May I and all beings be free from the sensual worlds. The form worlds are in despair. May I and all beings be freed from the form world. The form worlds are in despair. May I and beings be freed from the formless world. All worlds are in despair. May I and all beings be freed from us. Nibbana is the only salvation. May our beings attain Nibbana. Letting go is the only salvation. May I and all beings let go. Detachment is the only salvation. May I and all beings be detached. Being freed is the only salvation. May I and all beings be free. Nirvana is the only salvation. May I and all beings attain Nibbana. May I and all beings in all be freed from the bondage of lust, freed from the bondage of aversion, freed from the bondage of delusion, freed from the bondage of Mara, healed with the eternal bliss of Nibbana, healed with the eternal bliss of Nibbana, healed with the eternal bliss of Nibbana. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami, dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami. Yampi dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami. Let us all become all beings in samsara to take the benefit of Buddha Dhamma. It does not matter who is delivering the discourse. Only it matters is that Dhamma which Buddha had shared with beings in this long samsara, may they take benefit and then work towards the liberation. With that, I welcome everyone to attend to this discourse. And in case if they have questions or concerns relating to that, we can ask any particular time. And those beings who have been my father and mother in this life, who no longer exist, may they hear to the discourse and take the benefit of liberating from this samsara, or if they are going to the next life, let their next life be the best where they can associate the Kalyana Mitra at the earliest and then work towards liberation. The same to all my relatives who no longer exist, who are in search of a right opening, are willing to explore once again the new life. May they attain merit. May they attend this Desana and take benefit. Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammam Munirajasa Sunantu Sargamoggadam Dhammasavanakalo Ayam Bhadanta Dhammasavanakalo Ayam Bhadanta Dhammasavanakalo Ayam Bhadanta. I am also taking this opportunity to ask for forgiveness to all those Aryas whom I might have insulted in the past, with knowledge or without knowledge. And due to that reason, I've been suffering in this samsara for a long time without respite. And now, having got this Dhamma, having got again back to the path where I am supposed to be crossing the samsara, may no more obstacles come in my way. And same thing with all the beings who are assembled here. May they also walk on the path, helping each other to cross this long samsara into liberation. With that, let me start today's Desana. Today's Desana, I have not thought a particular topic, but then what I was thinking while coming home from work is to share some insights in terms of how one could practically implement the Dhamma and see how one can progress day by day, month by month, year by year, until the person fully liberates oneself. And once he or she is liberated, he can then help others to get liberated. That way, the long samsara can be tackled. So let us first look at the problem. The problem what we have is birth, which we are not aware. So the conditions which gave rise to birth is something which the child doesn't know. Now what if knows? Isn't it to happen that we should know why we are in the womb in the first place? Or is it that we should forget the reason why we are here? So because there is a perception in the mother's womb, the mother also have to struggle along with the child. So let's look at a human birth. Let us not worry about animal or any other birth. At present, our concern is on human birth and how we can make it much beneficial. And then we can look at beings, how they are born. Even though it is necessary to know, but at this stage it is not that important to know. Let us concentrate on the aspect of this birth as a condition. Now, the problem starts when there is conception. Now, without the knowledge of the mother, the body starts preparing for the onset of the child. And the delusion or the moha, what the mother has is that she is getting a child which she thinks is very precious, not knowing that the child is going to go away from her once it's grown. So let us now only concentrate on the aspect when she has filled with moha and also filled with raga, because there is desire to get the best of the child, and she starts dreaming. The dreaming of the mother has got nothing to do with the child which is inside or the being which has entered inside the womb. And for that matter, this mother doesn't know who this being is in the first place. So the person who is conceived inside the womb has no idea where he or she is sitting, because there is no sensation, or sorry, there is no identification, even though there is sensation which has happened to that being. It's like dream situation where the being is sitting and then the mother thinks something is happening because she has missed the period. Now she goes to the doctor and then she does a pregnancy test and she's found to be positive. She's very happy. But the moha, the delusion, does not tell her even in an instance that the person who is sitting inside a room is not what she desired to be, because she doesn't even know who has entered the womb. The same way that that being who is entered inside the womb doesn't know where it has entered and why it has entered. So this long-term process of development, and month by month, the mother is now becoming fat because it has to store fat. It doesn't take anybody's permission. The mother has to grow fat, why she has to vomit, and why she has to take so much of pain, bodily pain, aches, and she's not able to move. And she has to do a lot of exercises to keep the baby in a condition. And in the meanwhile, there are many restrictions for the mother in what she can do, what she can, how she can go, what vehicle she can take. So there are so much of complications because there is a chances of miscarriage. Now, if you see, it is not as per her wish. Her wish has got, her dreams has got nothing to do with whether there is miscarriage going to happen or not going to happen. So the mother wishes that nothing happens to her. Now, what happens if there is at a 20th week or 30th week, there is a mishap and that causes the miscarriage? What happens to the being? It dies. It goes in search for another environment which will make it be at time or some other time. What happened to this mother? Immediately, is because of the birth, there is death as a condition. And before the death as a condition, the 20-day cycle, the 20-week cycle where it is the fetus is grown. So there is jara, that is aging. So it is maybe 30 week or maybe 40 week. Like that, if we go week by week, let us say there was no miscarriage also. This so-called child is eating the food of the mother as growing. Is it as per the child wish? What organs to have and what organs should not have? So these organs are getting developed based upon the 5 indriyas or the sense. So the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, and the mind. These are the 5 different senses with which this child is going to perform its activities in the outside world. These 5 senses to have, it should have everything else joined to it, like heart, spleen, liver, intestine, gallbladder, and all the different systems should be in place, because this child is going to eat and that has to be digested and all that. Now, the child is bringing in a blueprint, or this being is brought a blueprint for which the mother is giving raw material. The raw material is something which is just supplied to meet that blueprint. So what if that blueprint had mistakes? So the child is coming out with those mistakes. But the mother is not aware of these mistakes, nor the child is aware of these mistakes, because these are coming out of the karma of the past. So what is that being as a child is encountering is the mistakes of the past, which is getting developed in the womb. It is not getting developed because the child had to develop it that way, because its blueprint is that way. So that the child is helpless. And this is where we can start to understand by the word, by what it said as atta. So atta means there is a person who has control of the situation. Anatta means there is no control over anything. Sometimes it is called as no self, because nothing that he or she can just walk over what is happening. It is getting produced over the being. So that's as a subtle body, over the subtle body as a gross body which is coming in. Do any one of us have any power to change the way we look? Maybe we can exercise and some fat will reduce, but overall, right, none of us have any power to change. Not only change, to wish for what we want it to be. So that means anicca, because what I wish has got nothing to do with how my body is performing. Let us say, moving ahead from there, I do something right now. Is there a guarantee that based upon my wish, the digestion will happen? My eating has got nothing to do with how the digestion is going to happen. So if there's constipation right now, I had to suffer out of the constipation irrespective of what I had eaten. And I had to eat it because I was hungry. So with birth comes hunger. And it doesn't stop only with hunger, it also produces thirst. So it doesn't have only hunger and thirst, it's also, we need to have clothing. And that also doesn't end there, we need to have shelter. And that doesn't again end there, we need to have medicines. So these are the basic ingredients what a human being need to have, without which the human being cannot survive. Maybe the mother had taken medicines, taken every kind of care, and once a child is out, does it remember who it is? No. Can it remember its mother? No. All it knows is to get fed. So the mother starts feeding the child, thinking that it is her child, and she doesn't even know. And because of the rag is moha. What if the child is born deaf, or the child is born without eyes, without sight, or the child cannot taste, the child is not able to touch, the child is not able to withstand the temperature, or the child has diseases. She never expected all of this is going to happen. Now this is throwing her off into a fit of rage, which is aversion. Why it is only happening to my child, or to me? What is that? So there is lamentation immediately when all of these things happen. So the birth of a condition is going to have all of this, whether somebody likes it or not. And that's the basic meaning of having this anicca in everything. So even for the breathing should happen as a child. Once a child is out, it doesn't breathe. And until unless the doctor for the very first time taps the child and then it cries and then the first breath enters into its nostril and the lungs get expanded. Till that time, the child is in a hibernation state inside the womb. So whatever the mother is doing, it is doing accordingly. So it has no idea what it is doing. So now only it has to start evolving. And the heart, there's a hole in the heart which gets closed because now it is supposed to breathe. What if the blueprint of that, whatever that being has brought, has to have a hole in the heart? That means it doesn't get closed. So at that young age, the child cannot be operated. So they have to wait for a few years for it to get operated. Did the child want like that? No. Did the mother want like that? No. Can anything be done about that? No. We have a solution. That is, that mother can fix it through an operation. But can she change what was there? Can the child itself repair itself? Not possible. So this blueprint, what is being brought is the karma, or the karma vipaka, or the fruit of the karma. Having done in the past whatever it had done, it's supposed to enjoy the fruits. So one side is the bad fruits of the karma, and another side is the good fruit of karma, wherein the child is very healthy. The parents are very happy. Now the parents are happy, so the parents become possessive. They don't like anyone to touch the child. And a child also only recognizes the mother initially and then the father. So it can only recognize its own family and gets associated with more and more, and thus forgetting what it was earlier. The same thing has happened with all of us right now. We don't remember who we were in the past and who we are right now and who will be in the future. We assume that we are going to exist in the future knowing very well that we are going to die one day. That one day is not today, is what we are very sure of. And that is again niche. That is a condition wherein the person believes that he or she can exist, he or she can do whatever it is as per one's wish. Not realizing that whatever is happening is because of cause and effect. The cause is happening because of the karma. The effect is coming into the karma. So if we have done good in the past, everything is working out, making him or her believe that it is his or her effort which is being taken into consideration, and that is how or vanity or the I-ness will come. If he or she understands that it is not he or she which is cause of it, it is the karma which is cause of it, the person might be very humble. And the problem statement here is that this birth association starts with all of it. So the cause or pain we have to take is because we are in this condition that everything will go as per our plan. And as soon as the condition changes, we cannot tolerate if it is not as per one wish. So the dukkha satya is that the birth starts as a condition which pulls us in a different direction. So this condition can be a thought, that is, whatever we design, whatever we think it should be. So the person thinks that this is how it should be, and then he starts his plan. If the planning is as per happy or she is very happy and there is no complaint, and he or she believes that because of the capability what this person had, it is working. So every time it works, that's what we've been taught in the school. And that everything we are aspiring or desiring is happening in some way or other. So the child cries for chocolate, the parents get it a chocolate. Also, if the child is studying very good, the parents will then make it feel greedy or desirous that if you do this, then we will give you this. So in the quest of getting whatever the desired product or a desired material is, this child works towards that. So in the first 0 to 10 years, what the child is doing is nothing but trying to support itself. So the first 7 years, the child is trying to support itself and learning a lot of things, which we called it as intellect. So if the intellect is weak, is again part of karma, because the blueprint did not have a good intellect because of the whatever the deeds done in the past. Or let us say the person has a very best intellect, making him a very egoistic person from day one. So everything the person aspires is happening. So first 7 years, the child has learned everything about it, and then from 7th to 10th year, it is implementing it. So the first 10 years of the human life goes only in acquiring what we desire, what the child is desiring. But that desire changes now from 10th year to 20th year, where the child grows up into an adult. So it goes through various stages from a child to a teenager and then to an adult at 20. So now the desire has totally changed. What it wants to become at 10-year-old is totally different than what it wants to become now at 20-year-old. So there is bhava, becoming what it wants to become. And there is vibhava, that is, it doesn't want to become something, which the parent wants it to become something, but the child doesn't want to become that. So there is conflict. When the day was born, the child was born, neither the mother and father had anything expecting except that child should be healthy. But now at the age of 20, the parents have a different expectation set for the child, and the child has a different expectation set for his parents. So let us say this child now wants to fight with its parents and stay separately. Did the parent desire this when the child was born? Or did they expect it to be this way? So again, anicca there. And since we don't understand the real meaning of anicca, we always have this faith that things will go as per one's liking. That's what the parents thought this child is going to be. But they fail to understand this child or the being has come into their life either to take something or give something in return. So now what is happening here is that its blueprint now says that this child has to become something. That something might not be in agreement with what the parents thought this child is going to be. Or let us say that everything is good of the parents' karma and then the karma of the child, and then the child is doing whatever the parents are saying. Again, in this case, there is nichasanya. That is, everything will go as per one's liking. So that is what the delusion is all about. So we have this delusion, moha, that this child of mine or this wife of mine or this husband of mine will do whatever I say, and I am able to convince them to do what I say. And the same thing holds good with the child, with the parent, or the wife with the husband and the child. So as many children as a person has, so many different levels of complexity which is going to happen, because all are separate beings. They are bound together because of the karma matches and they have to give something or take something from them. It's only transactional. And these each individuals have come together because of the conditions supplied along with that. So there is a cause and there is an effect. So as soon as the cause and effect are matching, it looks like it is stagnated or it is permanent or it is stationary, let us say. And suddenly things will change. And it can change without any notice. The health of the person can change. Let's say we just the parent and the child are walking along the road, and then the dust, out of the three people, one might sneeze, the other two will not sneeze. There is no reason why other two cannot sneeze, is what this child thinks. But that's not true. The condition is not appropriate for these two people to sneeze. Not that they are healthy or unhealthy. It is that the condition is not ripe enough for them to sneeze. And sometimes all the three might sneeze. So from then onwards, everything actually is dukkha. The reason being that we have to endure this pain for everything we do. So the reason why we are enduring this pain is because of asvada, which is nothing but the pleasure. So we seek pleasure in everything through these five senses. Through eyes, we would like to see the color. Through ears, we would like to hear to the sound. Through tongue, we would like to taste. Through the body, we would like to touch. Through nose, we would like to smell. And through our mind, we would like to think. So these are 5+1 different ways of analyzing the outside world. And because these changes all the time, never remains even for a second the way it is, there's only dukkha as a parinama, that is as a consequence. But here we have a viparinama dukkha because we can't even say what the consequence is, because it changes so fast. Because this changes is happening so fast, it gives us a transitory nature into a permanent nature. And holding on to that permanent nature is what causes the dukkha. So since we cannot see the momentary changes, because it is cannot be seen, just like standing on earth, that is, we are in earth, we cannot feel the movement of earth because we are moving along with the earth. Similarly, in our body, the cells which are moving, the blood which is moving, and each one of these parts which are moving cannot be felt because everything is moving. So that gives us a stationary view, as though everything is going very slowly or it is not at all changing. Only when the small child gets into, that is, an infant gets into a child, and the child gets into a teenage, and the teenage gets into a adulthood, and from adulthood to a middle age, and middle age to old age, if the photographs were to be verified, then only we can recognize that how the changes have happened. So that means our eyes cannot really capture all the changes all at once. And we also want to see what we would love to see. So there is this gati, or the habit pattern, what has been developed, which only tries to see what it wants to see, hear what it wants to hear, taste what it wants to taste, touch what it wants to touch, smell what it wants to smell, and think what it wants to think. So there is no similarity between the other person because his gati, his karma is totally different. So the chitta, or the thoughts of that person versus thoughts of mine, let us say, are different. As long as the conditions are matching, that both are thinking in the same way, there is no conflict. But as soon as there is a change, then that turns into conflict, because Either of the one have to accept to the other's view. So what if both don't want to agree to that view? Then what happens? Then there is tremendous suffering, there is dukkha. So every pleasure has the other side, which is dukkha. So these are the five senses plus mind with which we try to extract dukkha, so extract the pleasure, and ends up being in dukkha because the pleasure is so small that this endured effort does not lead to any kind of continuity, because you have to again put the same or more effort to get the pleasure. Just like somebody would like to eat a sweet, the first sweet is so tasty, but the second one, if they eat, there is law of diminishing returns. That means the taste doesn't exist the second time. So that is applicable to all senses. So if you were to see a movie once for 3 hours, and the second movie, that interest goes away in the second movie. So any of these senses through which we would like to have it as ayatana or the faculties, it loses momentum because there is a change all the time. So every moment the person, the so-called person, is coming and going, which we cannot see, which we cannot sense. So the Vedana for the Rupa is the matter or the material form of these five senses, cannot be perceived. So there is a wrong perception. So Sanya Vipallasa. Why we have a Sanya Vipallasa? Because that the Sanya, which is nothing but the perception, is totally distorted. So we have a Chitta Vipallasa, we have Sanya Vipallasa. So the Chitta is also contaminated, which is caused due to moha. And that's the reason we cannot see this Vipallasa or the hallucination or the distortion, what we are really encountering moment after moment. So it gives us opinion this person is interacting. But if you could observe the person for a long period of time, both mentally, how the person has interacted, and physically as a body, how the person is interacted, there's always a change which can be noticed after a few years' time. So sometimes we cannot recognize the person. We say, oh, are you this person? The same is a question as birth condition which had happened in the womb. Are you this person? So this question keeps on accumulating all the time. So 0 to 10 is the same question. 10 to 20 is the same question as the years. 20 to 30, again, the person is changing into different dimensions. So there is the same question, are you the same person? 30 to 40, 40 to 50, like that until the death of the person. So in this whole process, or this whole journey, when is that this person ever had happiness? There is nothing called as happiness because we have been into pleasure cycle. So as long as we are hunting for pleasures, as long as I am bound by pleasures, there can never be any happiness because the pleasures are so limited. The effort has to be put more and more to get the same pleasure, or that means you have to take a pain to get a pleasure. That means there is a person who is going to actually prick the person all the time, give him or her the pain, and then we say no pain, no gain. That means say that to get anything we need to have a pain. So let us say I'm growing a tummy and then I want to have a flat tummy. First of all, I don't know why this tummy has bulged. It didn't take my permission, but now it is bulged up. So everyone is complaining that I have a big tummy, so I have to reduce it. The only way to reduce it is to reduce the intake of food. So I need to now starve myself. But the body is not going to listen. even though my mind says I want to starve, but then I might eat more than the starving. One. Two is that I do a lot of exercises, which I might not be interested mentally, but I have to have this tummy flattened. So I need to do this exercise. So that means I have to take the pain. The moment I start exercising, the abdomen is going to pain. Similarly, we can apply this to the hairs, graying of hairs. You need to apply, the person has to apply a dark color, and similarly to all parts of the body. So externally we are doing it, but what do we do about internal? Can we do anything about our kidneys, liver, spleen, intestine, and all of that? That means there are 32 parts of the body plus 49 different kind of diseases. So there is dukkha. There's nothing else you can see except for dukkha. So this pleasure hunting turns out to be a dukkha. So the moment I understand this, I have understood the reason for doing it, which is nothing but attachment. The attachment has come because of the craving. So now I crave for the pleasure, for that sweet, and I want that back. But for that I need to put effort, and I might not get the exact taste which I had at that point in time. I want the same sight, what I was seeing, but now it has changed. The husband has changed, or the wife has changed, the child has changed. So sometimes the mother looks at the child's earlier photos when the child was 1 year old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15-year-old, and now this child is 30-year-old. It's married and it has its own life, and it is not even caring about the parents. What happens to this mother? Isn't she in dukkha? Doesn't she think that why did I give birth to such a child who doesn't even look at me, doesn't even ask how am I? He is now, or she is now, so much engrossed in their family that this mother is totally forgotten. And the mother is now 60-year-old and the child is 30-year-old, let us say, and the mother has to undergo the pain all by herself. But when the child was coming out, the mother didn't have any knowledge about this is what it is going to end up with. And even if it is so, even though she has seen her own mother suffering or her own grandmother suffering, but she doesn't mind enduring herself to this pain. And she gets married. And doesn't she know that she's going to lose everyone one day? But that is what the moha does, because there is raga. So all the pleasure hunting is for that raga, because there is desire to enjoy the pleasure of the five senses. So if I were to understand the first noble truth, that there is dukkha in everything we do, then we can understand why there is dukkha. It's because of the craving for the pleasure. So this craving can come in kama, that is the sensual. Then we have bhavatanaha, that is to become something. Life after life I want to take because I want to become something. Or vibhavatanaha, that is I don't want to become something but something else I want to become. So this becoming and not becoming is a state which creates multiple lives, because I have determined that I want to become something or I don't want to become that other thing. To do any one of these three, we need to have raga, dvesha, moha. It depends on how much of that is going to be there. So there are 6 roots, just like we have raga, dvesha, moha, which is above that is lobha, dvesha and moha, alobha, advesha, amoha. So these are the 6 roots. So to understand the anicca, dukkha, anatta in great detail, the person should at least have the capability of a dvihetuka or a tihetuka, that is having all the 3 roots of amoha, advesha and alobha. This is the tihetuka. Hetu is the cause. So the person should have developed the panya in his previous lives to understand anicca dukkha anatta to a greater degree. And if he were to understand anicca dukkha anatta, then he can understand the third noble truth, which is the cause of the suffering. Until unless the person can penetrate through into the tilakkana, it is very hard for a person to see dukkha in everything. He would see it as sukha, because that is again a vipallasa or a distortion. So in his chitta, every pain is a pleasure, because that's what he or she has been tuned. Because that's the reason he was born in that particular family, to carry it forward, because that is how his karma matched at the time of conception. So he or she is supposed to take over from wherever they had left the previous duties. So they are continuing on that. So there is no point in arguing with somebody, because their karma is different. So once the person were to discuss and find out that he or she is ignorant and he or she cannot understand, there's no point in fighting. It is better to say that, may you get a chance to understand the truth. And that is how the compassion works. Because now I need to be very compassionate with those people also who don't understand, because that's how their karma is. It's not their mistake. It is the karma which is causing them to endure that pain, and for the pain, for the pleasure, what they're going to gain. So I can only hope that they gain the pleasure, whatever they are choosing it to be. In that way, there is an unconditioned love, which will then make me understand the Four Noble Truth, the Noble Eightfold Path. And that is how the Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappu, and all that will work. So basically, if I don't understand the Jati to Jara Marana Soka Parideva Dukkha Do Manasa Upayasa, as an experiential in everything I do, right from a breath. So if you were to observe the breath right now, as a breath is entering in, there is Jati, the birth of the breath. And it stays for hardly a millisecond and it comes out. So there is Jara, Marana, and now there is Soka. Now you might think that, what is there to be a Soka about the breath? Yes, the more we breathe out, the life is sucked out. So, but there is helplessness, there is lamentation, there is grief, there is everything you can really see in a breath. So as the breath is entering, it is cold, but as the breath is coming out, it is hot or it's warmer. So the body warmth is going away. What can be done? Nothing can be done. So it's helplessness. So it's anatta. Yeah, there are exercises like pranayama where a person can hold the breath for some time. Yes, there can be extension, but you cannot hold it forever. The person can never hold it forever. So the natural way is that your breath comes in, the breath goes out. So trying to manipulate the breath is not going to help in any way at all. It might increase the life, but it doesn't increase, it does not in any way remove the pain, remove the dukkha, just because I am doing some yogasana or yogic exercises or postures. These days there is mushrooming classes and institutes or yoga clubs which are coming across the world, which teaches only physical side of the yoga, to look smarter, to look healthier. But that doesn't bring out how the dukkha will go away, how the bodily pain will go away, how the mental pain will go away. So the person is in mental grief, agony, because Somebody is able to do exercises much better and he or she is not able to do it. So there is comparison which causes the agony on one side. Other side, he or she has to torture the body, which is again a pain. So there are pains to be taken, which is nothing but dukkha. So one is a mental pain and one is a physical pain. So if we see rupa anicca, because now the rupa which I'm seeing outside is not as because I wished it to be like that. So I see an enemy coming in. What I can do about it? It's not as per my wish. Yes, the moment I see him, my blood pressure raises or my heart thumps. And that I didn't want it to happen. But it is anicca, not as per my wish, or my wish has got nothing to do with whether that person is going to come in front of me or not. Similarly, the conditions which are happening around me is not because I wished for that condition. So let us say it is raining heavily, is not the condition what I expect it to be. Yes, I am okay if it rains when I am at home. But what if I am on the road? So I don't mind others getting wet, but I don't want to get wet. So there is always the self-fulfillment I want to have. So it is raining, let us say. It's not raining because I wish the rains. It has got nothing to do with what I wish. So if it has to rain, the conditions has to arise for it to rain. And if we call it as a drought condition where there is no rain. So I might wish for water, but there is no water to drink. Now what happens? This condition is not there. So what will happen to me? I will die of thirst. There is no food to eat because again a drought as a condition. Now what happens? I don't even have money to buy the grains. Then what happens? I'll have to starve to death. So I am alive not because I wanted to be alive. The conditions are making me to be alive. I am not hungry because I wanted to be hungry. It's the condition which is that food which had been taken some hours ago has got digested. That means it has changed. So actually what has happened is that the whole body has secreted it. That means it no longer exists. So the condition is changed. So I cannot say I'm the same person which I was there 4 hours ago because the food is now digested. When it is digested, it means the person is new. So the person now is a hungry person. At that time, the person 4 hours ago was a person who had food inside his stomach. So there is birth of the condition, that is hunger. Food was given to the body. So that is another condition. Then the digestion process is another condition. Now digested turns back to hunger. Is another condition. So where is this person here? It's 4 different conditions. What if no food is there? That's the 5th condition. What is happening to this person? Agitation. That's the 6th condition. Now he's in anger. 7th condition. Now he'll go in hunt of food. 8th condition. So each is a different condition, causes, and there's an effect. So all his karma vipakas are now going to come into action. So there is nobody as a person. So I cannot say I'm the same person who started talking 1 hour ago because the condition has changed. So 1 hour ago I had tea. Now it's already gone. 1 hour ago I had eaten something, but now it is gone. So I'm again will be feeling hungry in few minutes time. This is not the same. So there is dukkha because of the jati of the condition. So jati pi dukkha is that condition which created is the dukkha. So this condition, when I've eaten the food, then there is jara, because there is digestion, right? So jara is nothing but aging. So 1 hour ago I ate, that's an age. Some years ago I was born, it's an age. Some years ago I got married, it's an age. So everything is aging. So that is dukkha. What if I was not born? I don't have to suffer like this. But now I have been born, I have to suffer. Now I might say that there's pleasure. Yes, indeed there is pleasure. That's the reason we are suffering. If there was no pleasure, then we wouldn't have been here in the first place. We are seeking pleasure through our five senses, and that's the reason we are here. So all that we are doing is to enjoy the pleasure by taking the pain. So now all these pains are dukkha. So vyadhipi dukkha. So now there are diseases. Now I have no idea what I ate is going to cause me discomfort or comfort. If there is comfort, it's because of the condition or the hetu. If there is discomfort, is again because of the condition. So let us say it turns gastric. I can't do anything about it. If it becomes acidic, I cannot do anything about it. It becomes allergic. What is that I can do about it? I can apply cream, I can take a medicine. But what the medicine does, I have nothing. I cannot say what this medicine is going to do after it enters my stomach. I have to endure whatever happens after that. So for everything, we have to take this. The water, what we drink, we might filter it, but how guaranteed we can be that it is not going to cause discomfort? Now I drank water, 2 glasses of water. I was hungry, but I drank water. Now I am not able to eat. So that's again a new condition. So because we cannot see these conditions coming up and we ignore it, and that is what is the nitya sanya, what we get into all the time. So this world is anitya sanya, but in our mind it is nitya sanya. And that is what gives rises to the displeasure or the disharmony with ourselves. And we try to blame others because we want to change others for our benefit. If they are not changed, then because I always treat myself as the best image. In my mind, I am the best in everything I do. So now I want to change the world because the world has to go as per what I wish it to be for, because it's my world. But the outside factors have got nothing to do with what my internal thinking is. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not at all work. So the first noble truth is to understand that why we at all suffer is because of this madness what we have within ourselves, that there is sukha. So we always feel there is nitya, sukha, atta, subha. When the world is anitya, dukkha, anatta, asubha. Why this vipallasa or this distortion or the hallucination has happened? Because of asvada or the pleasure. So the dukkha has to be taken in, is what we know very well right from the birth till now. We've been taking dukkha. But there is always a pleasure at the end of the taking of dukkha. We study because we get a job at the end. We work because we get money in the end. We buy something because we find pleasure in the end. But actually, whatever clothes we buy, after 2 or 3 washes, the color fades away. Didn't we feel unhappy? We certainly felt unhappy, and we have now blamed that shopkeeper or the manufacturer or whatever it is. So I buy an iPhone or I buy something and it is not working. Immediately, what is the next reaction? is that I was cheated because it did not work. I'm not bothered if it works with somebody else, but I'm bothered about my equipment which is not working because I have paid. And the moment I've paid it, it belongs to me. So I become the owner. So when I become the owner, I have dukkha dukkha because of the ownership. Then to maintain that, I have to do a sankhara dukkha, that is, I keep on creating causes which will maintain that in a particular way. Then let us say it falls down from my hand, it breaks the gorilla glass or monkey glass or whichever glass that is. Now I have to pay money to get it replaced. So there is viparinama dukkha. So in everything we have these three: dukkha dukkha, sankhara dukkha, and viparinama dukkha. Without sankhara dukkha, there cannot be any dukkha dukkha. The moment I become an owner of something, there is dukkha dukkha to maintain that, and there is sankhara. What if I didn't possess it in the first place? Then there is nothing to maintain. If there is nothing to maintain, then parinama or viparinama, it really doesn't matter because I have understood what the dukkha is. Possessing it, attaching to it is the problem. The moment there is possession means there is attachment to it, that is craving. And I hold on to it, it is upadana. So Vedana then creates all of this cycle of bhava, jati, jara, marana, soka, parireva, dukkha, domanasa, upayasa. It's a cyclical flow. So it is paticca samutpada in action. So if we were to see unfruitfulness of these conditions, why would somebody attach? But since we cannot find the unfruitfulness of these conditions, we tend to believe that it is true. Apparently, it seems to be true, but in reality, they are not true because that is hallucination, what we have created, which is the vipallasa. So there is ditti vipallasa, that is what we are conditioned to believe that it is good for us. That is, raga, dvesha, moha is very good, it has to be nurtured. And then we have sanya vipallasa, because of the ditti vipallasa, that we can hold it and we can modify it the way we want it to be. That is the perception what we have created. And because of these two, we have chitta vipallasa. There is the thoughts also flow in the same way, as though it is going to be manifesting the way we imagine it to be. So this imagination of the mind is what creates everything from enjoying different kind of senses. So we require televisions, we require computers, we require all kind of equipment, we require all kind of conditions. We want to visit a lot of places. We want to eat in different restaurants. We want to sleep in different hotels. So all of these are because of ditti vipallasa, sanya vipallasa, and chitta vipallasa. Because I could not see the dukkha in any one of them, I could only see sukha in all of them. And because of these conditions which keep on changing, I want to change the world. And that is the madness with which I am in this place as birth. And I believe that I'm going to, let us say, die at the age of 100, because I've been told that I'm going to live 100 years. Doing what, I don't know. But I've been told I'm going to live for 100 years, and I wish to live for 100 years. But 100 years is a finite year. There is no infinite. So I don't mind enduring myself with all kind of diseases just to survive till 100 years. Because I know there are hospitals which can cure me. Knowing very well they can fleece me, there's no cure, but I still feel that, okay, I'm earning a lot of money because I need to support myself during my old age. Now, who likes to get old? No one. But we are getting old. Nothing can be done. As long as we breathe, so long we are going to get old. Now, nothing can be done to hold the breath either. So this conditions, as long as it functions, the effect is going to be there. No matter what comes, the effect seems to be either in a positive way or in a negative way or in a neutral way. So the Vedana can here be a Sukha Vedana or a Dukkha Vedana or a Adukha Asukha Vedana. So this is where the Vedananupassi Viharati, that is, the person looks at the Vedana and then can understand the cause of the Dukkha. So the Satipatthana here is that we start with Kaya, understand the Vedana, understand the Chitta, and then understand the Dhamma, how these operate. So in that way we have done Samma Sati. And that gives us the Samma Samadhi of getting into the jhana, the first jhana, the second jhana, and third jhana, and fourth jhana. The reason why I'm covering this is because that is how we can come out of this madness and look at Nibbana as the only truth which we can then embrace. So attain Nibbana, we need to first remove the self, because the self is a condition which is caused by Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana. The last one is the most important one, that is the experiencer, which is the Vijnana. V plus Jnana. And that means it is Viparita Jnana. So it is already distorted. By the time it comes Vijnana Khanda, the person is totally taken over. So the experiencer is based upon what he had experienced or she had experienced in the past. So that experiencer I is a combination of feeler I, which is the Vedana, the perceiver I, which is the Sanya, based upon the Rupa. It can be Rupa Rupa, it can be Shabda Rupa, it can be Gandha Rupa, it can be Rasa Rupa, it can be Pottabha Rupa and Dhamma Rupa. 6 Rupas. So anything which is coming into the 6 sense doors, taking that as an input, there is a Vedana plus Sanya, and the Sankhara is a person who is doing it. So the doer I is the person who keeps on doing it to get the same pleasure. So then comes the manipulation for gaining the pleasure. As and when we start manipulating, we don't mind getting into the Dasa Akusala Kamma. So we can do 4 by Vachi Sankhara, that is the speech, 3 by Kaya Sankhara, and 3 by Mano Sankhara. So this is how we end up being working in the 10 Dasa Akusala Kamma. So the unmeritorious deeds is the first thing if we were to remove, because we have seen that everything is in a way a pain. So why cause more discomfort, and why not leave this Dasa Akusala Kamma and then make it as a Kusala Kamma? So we are changing the Gati basically. So when we start changing the Gati, the Kamma becomes inoperative because the Chitta is changing now. So that is how we can go from bondage, that is Bana, to Nibbana, which is unbinding it. So now it is unbound. From being bound to the samsara, to is unbound of the samsara, and that is liberation. So that's the reason the Nibbana is the only Sukha, Parama Sukha. Everything else is just pleasure, and it is bound by condition. So when we talk about what is this conditions, is you have to feed a certain condition for certain things to work. So there is nothing else, nothing in this world which is not conditioned. Everything is conditioned. Only the Nibbana is unconditioned. And going to the unconditioned from conditioning is liberation. So with the anicca or anatta, either as a starting point we can get into this unconditioning. So the tilakana is the starting point. More than anything else, if not getting deeper into any of the Dhamma topics, only this tilakana is sufficient for a person to become an arahat, because that's all what is required to get out of the samsara. Because once he or she stops anticipating or expecting pleasure from the senses, the ayatanas become the indriyas, and indriya can create the bala, starting with sati indriya, panya indriya, and the other three different kind of indriya like virya. So that is how the 37 factors of enlightenment, bojjhanga factors, can be encountered by the person while he is getting liberated. So understanding the first noble truth, penetrating it, what's the meaning of dukkha, that the jati of the condition is what is the starting point for anything to experience. The idea is the jati. The event is another jati. So like that, we can investigate on each of the jati which is coming in, and ultimately all of this will disappear. So another way to look at is udaya vyaya jnana. There is upada titi bhanga. So that again is a phenomenon what we can see. So the breath is coming in, it is staying for some time, very little, but yes, it's still staying. That is the nibbana, because staying. Then there is bhanga, but since it cannot stay for a long time, it's bhanga, so it is conditioned. What if you don't have to breathe? That's nibbana. What if you were to be unconditioned? That is nibbana. So isn't it right that all of us should work towards nibbana, that is coming out of the conditions? So this is something what we need to deeply contemplate or deeply think and get out of this samsara. I think for today I will end it here, and we can continue on the same next week. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, I would like to end the sermon by passing the merits to all the beings. May they attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all the people who have joined us on Skype or on Facebook or on YouTube, and along with them, their friends or any relatives who have joined, may all of them take this Dhamma and try to experiment on the phenomenon, and then understand the essence of the Four Noble Truths and work towards Nibbana. May all beings be happy. May all attain Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.